vital contribution that the countries of Europe as a whole can make, and the United Kingdom is one of the leading players in that way.
Shlomo Ben-Ami.
Nobody denies that England is a major donor in the Middle East, but the problem is political. You see, you need to gauge the meaning of where do the Palestinians stand right now. They are not in the process of imitating Jean Monnet. They are not in the process of economic development, although economic development will always be very important. They are in the process of state building. They are in the middle of a war of independence. And the only one that can make a difference here is Israel and the United States. All the other players are relegated to secondary or third positions. This is the simple reality. And when you speak about Tony Blair in terms of institution building, I can tell you from first-hand knowledge, the Palestinians are not happy with that at all. They don't need advisors for institution building. They need supporters for the creation of a Palestinian state.
Shlomo, you've just proved our case. You've said that compared to the United States, Britain is relegated to second place. Of course we are. Who's ever suggested otherwise? There is one United States which is not a superpower, it's a super-duper power.
Okay.
The rest of us, the rest of us inevitably are second.
It is a hyperpower, as Vedrin says. But when you address the problem of who is first and second, you need to divide the Middle East in different areas. Take Lebanon, for example. Is Britain important in the process of Lebanon?
To that point.
The French. The French, the Italians, even the Spaniards are more important in
and
Lebanon.
you know why?
Take Syria.
But you know why?
Why?
The reason we don't have troops in UNIFIL is because we ran out of troops. We've got so many in Afghanistan and Iraq. There are none left to send to the
Raghida Dergham, please, come in here.
To say that it's only the United States and Israel who would have the right and the influence to affect the situation in Palestine, who do, is to exclude others, which is a very necessary contribution to have others come in and help in these negotiations. I think if you leave the Palestinians to the United States and Israel alone, they'll never see their state. Therefore, it is very important to have the United Kingdom on its own, together with the EU, within the quartet, in the international arena, helping out, bringing this finally, I mean, the contours of peace in the Middle East are very clear. The UK needs to exercise its influence. I think you said something to that effect, that the UK has influence, but it needs to exercise it. The way to exercise it, in my view, towards Israel is to say, we can't give you blanket support and you just go unaccounted for without whatever you do. There's a roadmap to two-state solution. The Israelis have got to deliver, and the United Kingdom can pressure the Israelis together with the EU and alone, and there are tools to do so. That's where that influence needs to be used more.
All right, Baroness Falkner, you wanted to come in.
Tim,
and then we'll move on.
There's influence and there's influence. Sir Malcolm says that he opposed the Iraq War, but he clearly didn't have enough influence in his party because the party voted for the war. So there's you can have influence, but it may come to nothing, the influence you have.
Somehow I thought that was going to arise in this discussion.
It may be entirely ephemeral. But you're talking about influence. In terms of Britain's role in the quartet, and in terms of Britain's role we know that not only the Palestinians, other Arabs were very concerned about Mr. Blair's role. We know that. But we also know that the EU was also very concerned. So Mr. Blair has been put there due to his influence in Washington.
Baroness, may I just tell you something? I've just been in touch with very high-ranking Palestinians who are very involved in the building of institutions. And let me tell you, they understand clearly the importance of building institutions because it's about building the state of Palestine. That is incredibly important. And Baroness, I hear you coming here to criticize the British policy. It's your right. But I thought we are coming here to debate whether the United Kingdom has influence to exercise or has its influence been in terminal decline. So I think you have every right to criticize. It's your country much more than mine. It's not policy. We're not discussing the policy necessarily. We're saying, is there an influence and how is it used?
How can you look at its role in the absence of looking at its foreign policy?
But it is not in terminal decline, Baroness, because as long as the United Kingdom, as long as the British government can decide to remain engaged or not to remain engaged, it is not out of its hand. It's not terminal decline.
I'm very happy to concede that history will tell us whether the decline was terminal or not. In the absence of foresight, we can only judge some way down the road whether the decline is terminal or not.
So Malcolm, do you want
All I'm saying is the trajectory is such that it may well be in terminal.
Let me just explain what we're trying to say. even the most severe critic of Israel would not say that Israel was in terminal decline because they thoroughly disapproved of Israeli policy. Israel might still be very powerful. The United Kingdom might be powerful even if you disapprove of the way in which it exercises its power or its influence. That's a crucial point.
I've considered that possibly the word terminal is slightly too strong.
Oh, well, we're halfway there then.
But the decline,
Another 20 minutes and you'll be on our side.
We're halfway there and we're going to move on. Lady in the third row.
There's been a lot of conversation about the special relationship between the UK and the USA. And I was wondering if the proposition could let us know, which is it? Is it that the UK follows the USA like a poodle, or do we have a restraining hand on an overzealous Washington administration? Which is it?
Well, frankly, I don't think that Britain being subservient to the Americans in the Iraq War has had any impact on Britain having a leverage in policy making in the region. And I'll give you several examples. When